Nilsen, everyone.
Thank you. So, quick question. How many of you use games in your classroom? Okay. Why?
They're fun.
They're fun. To kill time. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Okay. So I think we all kind of have a sense of the fact that games are effective for engaging our students in the classroom. But I think a lot of us don't really have a deep understanding of why that is. Why is it so good? Why are using games so good? And so hopefully today I can enlighten you a little bit on that aspect. Okay. So who doesn't know who I am?
I don't know who you are.
That is a lie. That is a lie. All right. So my name is Jan Nilsen. I'm originally from Seattle. I came here today all the way from Awaji Island. Yeah. 3 hours. Yeah, it's pretty rough. You know, I didn't think I was going to make it. But anyway, I came to Awaji about 18 years ago. And I did start my own language school there about 15 years ago. I have a master's degree, so I kind of know what I'm doing. And I actually opened my first location in 2020, right after the Diamond Princess incident, right? So that was fun. But yeah, so you know, as I was thinking about this talk, I was kind of wondering, well, who can I talk to about games? You know, who knows something about this, right? And so yeah, I love this game. Yeah. So I had a little meeting with that guy right there, Adam, and also the other guy over there who's talking about 3D printing now. Okay. We're a bunch of goofballs. We had a fantastic discussion about games. Yeah.
Big voice.
Oh, big voice. Yeah. All right. Sorry, I'm kind of recovering from a cold. Yeah. But yeah, if you guys don't know, Adam, he has the Gamerized dictionary. It's wildly successful, super incredible learning app that he's got there. And Tim, he's got the Ready Set Ego card game, which is also a phenomenal game. I use it a lot in my own classroom, okay? So I talked to these guys, and a lot of the insights that I gain from them, I'm going to be kind of integrating into a lot of the talk that I have today. I also got some input from Leon Butchers. He's the creator. Oh, hey, Leon. Yeah. He is the creator of Ego, another card game. So he couldn't join our meeting, but I still got some input from him over text. So yeah. So we're going to kind of talk about the role of games in educational settings. Try to define what a game actually is. Also, I think it'll be important to make a distinction between what game-based learning is versus gamification, because it is confusing. We are going to talk about our role in the classroom when conducting games, and also the psychology behind game-based learning, and how we can enhance learning outcomes through using games, and maybe some components that we can figure into making effective games. Okay. There'll be some time to address challenges and misconceptions at the end too. So. It's not a new idea, okay? We should not be like saying, study! Do your homework! Like this, right? It's very important that we can get our kids to focus on their learning by engaging them, amusing them, right? So we can engage our students completely through the use of games, both cognitively, socially, emotionally. It also helps to foster their motivation. There's a very well-established theory called Self-Determination Theory by DC and Ryan, which I think is perfectly in line with using games in the classroom. Also, I personally feel when children play games, they are, reenacting things that they've seen in their daily lives. So it does reinforce experiential learning as well. And if we can, create well-structured games, they can definitely make language learning immersive and enjoyable. Your children will be learning things without even really realizing that they're learning because they're just enjoying themselves. Okay? So yeah. The great Vygotsky, right? Not Gatsby, great Vygotsky. So again, I want to emphasize the point. This is not a new idea, right? But it is important that we try and reinforce what our children naturally want to do. Right? They want to play, and all of their greatest achievements can be achieved through play. In fact, sometimes they will create their own rules to govern that play. So, I would like you guys to all kind of work together as a group, have a chat about this. What is a game? What is a game? And most importantly, what makes it a game?
Competition?
Okay. Well, you can, together. You can have a discussion with the people at your table for about 5 minutes or so, okay?
So game is competition, that's what I want to say.
Oh, thanks, Scott. Yeah. You can,
Winners and losers.
But children really fight, right? When they're doing games, I'm a little bit always scared they'll start to fight. And upset or not win. Really interesting to listen our psychology way what to do when children fight or are upset and the game doesn't go right.
I think a game it takes the pressure off of like the learning, getting it right or wrong. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be fun, but if you have that pressure of I'm going to get the answer wrong, right? So it takes all that away.
When you want to learn something, you want to teach them, instead of teaching them, okay, you have to do this one, and then all of you line up here, line up there, no, just, okay, let's play, and then you just kind of go into it, and just kind of go into like the games, and then they learn it instinctively.
I think games depends on what you're teaching. It differs. For example, we're teaching young parents, so we're making it's always I do a lesson with games, but they're fine, and of course they're always good for it. They're learning and having fun with things. I like games engaging in the lesson. It's fun and then more than funny.
Yeah, like I think in all you said everything games, and I think like that's what we do now in our school too. Like we play games to take the pressure out of kids, and also for them to have a natural way of learning things through
Naturally learning.
Yeah, I think like if you have a question, it's right or wrong, and then you're done. But the games will help, like kind of motivation to want to challenge themselves, push themselves. Maybe not push, but just to go a little bit outside their comfort zone. Maybe that natural way to improve themselves through the games because that pressure is not there.
That's the best thing about games. No pressure,
Natural.
Let's see what's more important.
Let's see what the right answer is.
What makes it?
What makes it a game?
Really can play, really can do a lot of things in our classroom. So we have this back end
Where do you teach? Where do you teach? Yeah.
There is young learners, international.
Okay.
So it's from it's kindergarten. So it's from 9 to. But yeah, we always put like games and.
You don't really have the freedom to do a lot of games.
Yeah, we're free to do whatever we want, but not really.
Okay.
So because we have work, we have but at least we have topics monthly, so I put games on. For this month, our topic is about world,
All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. All right, so we're going to have our lovely mic man, Mr. Lawrence Hong. Do you guys have something you'd like to share? Please raise your hand. He's going to go and give you a chance to share, okay? So,
If
he likes you, yeah.
If I let you.
So, anyone would like to hazard a guess as to what a game is?
Is there a right or wrong answer?
Yes.
We'll start because we don't have a lot of time.
Yep.
So basically, to start with the what makes it a game part, we thought, well, fun. If it should be fun, but then we thought, okay, well, what is fun? And then we kind of collectively decided that fun is when the children are at a perfect point of where the game is at their perfect point of development, where it's that next small step for the next thing that they are naturally wanting to learn, not wanting to, their brain tells them they want to learn. So if it's a physical thing where like smaller children, they can't do certain physical things, that thing is built into the game. Or if it's an intellectual step, then that's kind of built into the game. So not too easy, not too difficult. So that's what makes it fun, was that point. So we'll answer the second half, pass it on to you.
All right.
Okay.
Everybody else.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
just
like I
wanted
was
to-
doing the presentation.
Yeah.
You should catch up.
So
I'm listening. I'm listening. Yeah.
that was his tactic.
Okay, now this is important too. So, I mean, with Scott's answer there, that could also be very well said about play, just normal, unstructured play. So, any of you talk about the differences between play and games? Oh, crickets. Uh-oh. Between play, unstructured play, and games, is there a difference?
There's a defined objective.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. This is just going into the camera. So it's not actually. It's for people. It's just for people at home.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Not for the room.
Yeah. Yes.
A defined objective and rules.
Yep. There you go. I think David had something to say too.
Same.
Yeah, it's kind of same.
Same. Yeah. That's right. Okay. So yeah, exactly. So play, as James Paul Guy, I think it's Guy, says, right? Play is free form and exploratory. Well, games impose goals, rules, and structured challenges that guide learning in specific ways. Okay. So there are some important distinctions to be made here, right? So games have rules. They have a structure. And it's a structure that can be learned and taught, okay? And that's where, as teachers, we can introduce those rules or create the conditions where the children can figure out the rules on their own, which is, I think, preferable. Games also have objectives. There's something that children will be trying to do, whether it's getting points or reaching the end of a board game, for example. There is a definable outcome which the children can easily recognize. Okay. So not all games, but a lot of games have some form of repetition or turn taking. This is part of the structure, right? And there can be competitive games or cooperative games where the children are working together to help each other. And all the while, there is constant cognitive engagement. okay? So children are actively thinking and trying to solve problems, make decisions, make choices together, okay? So I heard, like, yeah.
One more thing, there's artificial conflict, right? The stakes are not high. You know, it's not a game of death.
Right.
If it was a game of death, it wouldn't be fun.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. So we can artificially create stakes that motivate and incentivize the children to actually try to reach the outcome, yes? So I heard someone mention gamification earlier, and so, you know, aren't all games just what is that? Game of digitalization? No, there is a difference, right? So this gentleman, Carl Kapp, he's did, I think, a pretty good job of defining a distinction here, okay? So gamification is where you're applying game-like mechanics to something that is not inherently game-like, okay? So, for example, you know, on my phone here, I have an app that motivates me to walk more. I don't know if you guys use this. I feel so bad if I can't close my ring every day, right? So it motivates me to do that, right? But as we're going to see later, gamification does have shortcomings, and it's important that we are aware of those, okay? So yeah. Game-based learning, again, we're going to be trying to sort of encourage some kind of learning that's going to be happening through the game, right? Through the different processes that the children are trying to do to reach the outcome, okay? But gamification is more about just adding some sort of layer on top, like a point system or a leaderboard or some kind of badges or achievements like this, okay? So Adam, in our discussion, contributed his piece on this, and he said that gamification is ideal for maybe independent study, perhaps, right? Like rote learning, that sort of thing. But he said that, you know, real learning can maybe only take place through this kind of game-based learning, right? You know, where we're using strategy or problem solving, decision making, that sort of thing. Right, Adam? Yeah. Yes. I was paraphrasing a little bit, so hopefully I didn't get it wrong. Yeah. So, you know, I was searching for a good quote on this, and I found this quote is often attributed to Ben Franklin, and it's not. It is actually this Chinese philosopher that said this, okay? I'm not going to even try to pronounce the name. I think it's Sun Tzu, maybe. But, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sounds much better than me. So yeah, and this is so true, right? Like, you know, if we can involve the children in the learning process, right, they're going to learn a lot more, right? If we just tell them something, they're going to forget it, right? And I think this is really crucial, you know, based on some of the things that Naoko was talking about earlier in her talk, right? I think a lot of the Japanese education system treats children as some kind of a container that they're passively waiting to be filled with knowledge that we're giving them. And Plutarch disagrees. Okay. You know, I think the mind is more a fire to be kindled than a vessel to be filled. And so, you know, by keeping the kids engaged in the learning process, they're going to learn a lot more. So yes. So psychology, right? As I mentioned earlier, there's this theory known as self-determination theory. And game-based learning satisfies three really core motivational needs in our kids. The first one, competence. Right? Who here wants to be the best at what they do? Most people do, right? Right?
Not in a competitive way.
Well, yeah, but with ourselves, right? We want to achieve mastery, okay? And our children are no different, okay? They want to feel as though they are doing something, that they're doing something they could not do before, okay? And so also connection, right? If we do team-based games in the classroom, right? we're encouraging the children to develop social connections with each other to achieve the outcome, right? And then finally, autonomy. Anyone want to contribute here? How can game-based learning satisfy this need? Anybody?
The players can choose the way.
Oh, here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You're fired. Because when you play the game, everybody have their choice of how to play.
Exactly.
So they make a decision. You make a decision by yourself.
Exactly.
So that's where autonomy comes in.
Exactly. Choice. And of course, we as teachers, right, we can narrow the choices down so that we're going to achieve the desired outcome. But the children don't know that. They're not paying attention to the limitations that we're putting on the game. But we can certainly have some control, right? So this is important too. Rigby and Ryan, if you've never read their book, the title escapes me now, but they wrote an entire book about games and how they can be used for learning. And so they argue that the most learning takes place when their engagement is completely sustained and they feel in control. They have ownership of their progress. Okay, so how can games enhance learning outcomes? Well, on the cognitive side, this is especially true for Adam's app Gamerized Dictionary, right? We can help with children's memory. Okay, they're going to be able to retain their memory of the things that they learn, particularly vocabulary or phonemic awareness, this sort of thing. They're also going to be engaged in problem solving, decision making, that sort of thing, right? And also pattern recognition, which is a very important part in the early stages of, for example, teaching children how to read using phonics, right? Games help the children develop a sort of a ability to recognize patterns, and through that repetition, they can eventually learn to put things together and read. So now, this is also important. I'm sure all of you have lots of different kinds of kids in your classrooms, and I think it's important to understand that game-based learning is very easily adaptable to the children's needs, depending on certain limitations they may have, and so we can make adjustments, particularly for children who are on the spectrum, neurodiverse children, for example. And so, games help us to emotionally regulate. Okay, so this is something Adam also contributed in our discussion. He said, when we are focused on the game, we are no longer thinking about ourselves. There's no space for self-consciousness. There's no worries about making mistakes. If the children are focused on the game, they will receive the feedback. Okay, I'm going to just go on and do it again. Okay, so they're focused on the objectives themselves. Also, children, when they have success in the game, it's one of the first times where they can actually feel like they're progressing. As teachers, we're constantly observing our students, and we can see their growth, but sometimes they can't, right? And so, if they can successfully do something in a game, it's oftentimes the first time where they're like, I can actually do this, right? And, for me, I love seeing the expression on their face. They light up like, it's great. So this is also something Leon contributed through his communication with me. So it boosts confidence, sense of achievement, and also intrinsic motivation to learn. Okay. So yeah, this is I mentioned earlier. Children who may have some executive function issues, right? They're ADHD, autistic. Games often give them an avenue to learn that may not have been available before. Okay, so some data that Adam shared with me from his Gamerized Dictionary is that some of the children who are the highest performers on his app were on the spectrum. They're neurodiverse. So one child, you said, learned 20,000 words in 2 years? That's insane. That's insane. It's so great, right? So now, Also, there's the social aspect too, okay? So, when children are, doing a team game or working together, we can often observe them collaborating, right? And this goes in line with social constructivist theories of learning, where learning is a social activity. Learners can scaffold each other, help each other out, and make things possible that would not be normally possible independently. And so this is something that Tim also brought up. He said some kids are like really disengaged, like they don't want to participate. They're like, I don't want to be here. But games can offer them a way in where they don't have to be so self-conscious, and they're going to be more motivated to participate. So one thing that both Adam, Tim, and I all agreed on is when we're doing the encouraging students to help each other out, we have to make sure that they don't do things kind of incorrectly. Adam said children aren't very good teachers, and so we can try to train the children to help out their classmates without robbing them of learning opportunities by just giving their classmates the answers to the game or that sort of thing. So in my own classroom, I have kids learning gestures for phonics, and so the gesture ends up being a really good hint without giving the answer directly to their classmates during the game, right? So yeah. Rather than being just like this kind of imposing figure or just like teaching the children, right? I like this whole kind of idea of like a learning community where we're kind of learning together with the children, and we're just helping them and guiding them along the way, right? So John Dewey has it right here. Also, this quote really hit me too. When you teach a child something, you take away forever his chance of discovering it for himself. Just want to let that sit there for a second, right? As teachers, we're like robbing our children of learning opportunities by teaching them. What are we doing? Right? What are you doing, right? No. You're very valuable, Scott. Don't do that. So what is our role? What is our role in the classroom? Well, we can facilitate, right? We can get our kids to work together, give them support, give them space to try and figure things out, right? Without dominating things, right? And so if we can structure games in a way that have some kind of boundaries but still give the children enough autonomy to make decisions and choices for themselves, that is where they're going to feel the most motivated, right? So also maybe if you have mixed level classes, games can be a great way of varying the level of difficulty. You can pair a more proficient child with a less proficient child. You can divide the class up and have two groups playing the game at different levels of difficulty. So there's a lot of flexibility there to make adjustments. And also we can ensure that there are no kids that like dominate, and we can make sure every child gets a chance to participate. So what makes an effective educational game? How much time do I got? Oh, so I'll just go one by one here. So I borrowed this from a series of videos created by David Paul. I give full credit to him. He's got a great series of videos about game-based learning. If you have not seen it, you are missing out. You're missing out. Please watch them, okay? But games should be enjoyable, both inside and outside the classroom. There are some games where people just like, a teacher will just make a game just because they have to make a game, and it's not fun for the kids usually, right? So if it's a game that your kids would like to play outside of the classroom, it will be a guaranteed success in the classroom if you can find a way to adapt it, right? Of course, with integrated language learning in there, okay? And as I said earlier, right, make sure that the level of difficulty can be adjusted to different levels. Also, it's good to have a game which you can change out content freely, right? If your game is very content limited and you can only play it with a certain language target, for example, that might be not such a good game. Also, we want a game that's going to encourage positive interactions amongst the kids. You know, we don't want to have situations where children are cheating or doing things that create tension between each other, right? Fights, or, you know, some children will get upset when they lose the game, that sort of thing. And make sure that children can participate equally, of course. And this is also important, right? This is, I think, probably one of the most important things is anticipation. It is the number one thing that will retain a child's engagement, is if they're like, what's going to happen next, right? We can draw them into that, right? And we can make sure that they are 100% focused. And yeah, last but not least, a game should foster some sense of ownership or autonomy. So, my hero, right? This is important, right? I think, when I speak to, Japanese educators about games, they have the wrong attitude, I think. They dismiss it as like, oh, like a treat or something that the kids can do after they've done the quote-unquote real learning. Pardon my language, that is bullshit. That is bullshit. So, I think that play is the work of the child. Right? It is how they learn. It is the best way that they can, make sense of the world. And if we can find ways to reinforce that, give them the pathway that has the least resistance, we can definitely inspire and get them learning in the classroom. So yeah.
Till which age playing?
That's a good question. I think until they want to stop playing.
I still like to play.
Me too, right? So, of course, I'm focusing this. It's a good question, right? When will children stop playing, right? Or when is it an ideal time? I don't think this is exclusive to children. I think adults can learn just as effectively through games. So I'm talking about kids mostly because I think a lot of us teach children, but this is not limited to children, okay? But yeah, games are just for fun, right? No. Games reinforce memory, retention, and learning, right? Oh, games are just a distraction. It's a waste of time. It's not the real learning, right? No. Games can be well structured. Yeah, I got you. Games can be well structured, and they actually focus the kids' attention. I have never seen my students more focused than when they're playing a game in my classroom. So only some students will benefit, some students won't, really? I don't know. I don't think so. I think games can be adapted for all learners. That depends on the skill of the teacher, right? That's our job. We have to be the ones to fill in the gap and make adjustments so that the kids can achieve, right? So I have just some final thoughts here. So, yeah, game-based learning can foster this kind of, deeper engagement and long-term retention of the things that we teach in the classroom. If we can design games that are effective, we can meet all of those psychological needs that I mentioned earlier in that self-determination theory, right? What were they again? Competence? Autonomy? Connection. That's right, connection. Collaboration, yeah. Close enough, yeah. Yes. And again, the best games are the ones that we can adapt, we can change out the content, it's interactive, gives the kids freedom to make choices and decisions for themselves. And, of course, we should not forget our role in being able to adapt and monitor and make changes in real time dynamically to fit the needs of our kids, right? So, that's all. Thank you. Thank you.